What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of This Week in Geek. Thank you all so much for joining in live if you're watching currently in the chat. And thank you to everyone who is currently sitting at home, or if you're on your commute to work or at the gym listening on Spotify. I thank you all so much for joining in. My name is Patrick, and I am filling in as host for This Week in Geek this week for the reason that Zach is currently out at Star Wars Celebration. I'm very jealous of him, but I'm hoping he's having a good time. And Ren himself is unfortunately not able to join this week and is unable to host for certain personal reasons, which I won't get into, but I hope he is doing all right. He's currently sitting here monitoring everything in regards to the images on screen and to help me through this, but I'm super excited to join in and host this week. And I thank you all so much for joining in. I want to thank Ren for giving me this opportunity, but there's been a lot happening this week in regards to media and everything geeky. Like, we had our trailer for Thor Love and Thunder on Monday, which I personally was more impressed by than the teaser trailer. I think Gore the God Butcher looks fantastic. And we've also had Stranger Things Season 4 drop this week, which I hope you guys are all enjoying. Don't binge it all at once. It is very long. Although if you want to go ahead, I did that with Stranger Things Seasons 1, 2, and 3 when they were released. But our main topic this week is Obi-Wan Kenobi and the first two episodes that dropped yesterday. They premiered the first two episodes at Star Wars Celebration as well. But we've also been able to see it on Disney Plus yesterday. But before we get in and talk about Obi-Wan Kenobi in regards to the good, the bad, the things that we want to speculate on and what's to come, I guess I should do my weekly ranking. And I've watched a lot at the moment because for certain reasons. I'm currently at home, but I'm at the moment sort of secluded, and you can probably guess what it is. It's regarding the whole world pandemic thing right now. But I watched quite a few things this week. I have 10 movies and shows I've watched in my own time, just being at home, and a lot of it's anime, a lot of it's just general stuff. And, you know, the first thing that I watched this week, which was for a video before the seclusion thing, it was last weekend, or Monday, I should say, I watched a little movie called The Banana Splits Movie, which I won't get into because I have a reaction video coming out next weekend for it. But all I've got to say is I sort of need it. Like, there are no bad movies I watched this week, in my opinion. I actually enjoyed everything I watched. But the Banana Splits movie has to be down at the bottom because it's just one of those really cheaply made, weird, wacky movies that a lot of people just probably wouldn't get unless you're a particular fan of a franchise such as Five Nights at Freddy's, because it very much so plays upon a Five Nights at Freddy's-esque scenario regarding animatronics, although I believe, I'm not too sure, it is based off a children's show back in the day called The Banana Splits. I'm not too sure of that one, but even though it's not a great movie and could be by many considered bad, it's still a really fun, cheesy time, and you're able to watch it on like Prime. You're able to watch it on YouTube, which is where I watched it. I rented it for $5. Yeah, it's a good time. The next movie on my weekly ranking at number 9 would have to be Halloween Kills. This is a movie I watched with my sister for her first viewing. She's been pestering me to do a video reacting to it for a while, and I still really enjoy this movie. I know Ren himself isn't personally a massive fan of this movie, at least I believe, and a lot of people regard this as a filler movie. But as I said in my review I posted last year, I see this as like an Empire Strikes Back sort of situation where I feel like the ideas set up and the concepts developed upon in this and the unanswered questions will be developed upon more and explored in Halloween Ends coming out later in October. And with that, I feel like it could either improve or just stay where it is regarding quality right now, like The Empire Strikes Back did in 1980 before the release of The Return of the Jedi. I'm super excited for Halloween Ends and Halloween Kills. Like, even though at the moment it's a very middle of the road movie, while a lot of ideas presented I'm not too sure of and want to see developed upon more, I think it's a fun time still. I still think it's really, really entertaining. And as a Michael Myers fan, the original Halloween being my favorite horror movie of all time, everything with Michael in this movie in regards to the kills, his brute force and everything, he's just so much fun. And as a gorehound, it's everything I could kind of want in a horror slasher. So I still enjoy Halloween Kills. At number 8, I know a lot of people didn't like this movie, but I love Resident Evil Welcome to Raccoon City. It's not because it's a good movie. I can see the issues with this movie in regards to script writing, acting, story, VFX, you name it. But as a Resident Evil fan, those are things I don't look at because as a fan of the video games, Resident Evil is not a series particularly well known in regards to characterization, in regards to great writing. Like the original Resident Evil game, is like I've got a copy of it actually sitting on my desk for the PS1. The original version has some really bad dialogue. One where Barry Burton, one of the characters in the game, literally says you almost became a Jill sandwich to a character like Jill after she's almost crushed. So it's not well known for its great lines and delivery or voice acting or anything. And Welcome to Raccoon City sort of works in its favor as a video game adaptation of the iconic survival horror franchise for that reason, because it does have the Lickers, it does have Lisa Trevor, it does have the bioweapons like the G. William Birkin, it does have the zombies and the Cerberus, and a lot of things in regards to locations as well, such as the Arkley Mansion, such as the RPD precinct, that are recreated from the ground up with its set design that is very practical and it looks so good. And as a fan of the video games, I think it's a fun adaptation and honestly the best live action adaptation of the Resident Evil source material we've gotten so far. But that's, in my opinion, not really saying much, of course. But I'm more or less just curious about that Netflix Resident Evil show coming out in July, which I am very scared for after that trailer dropped the other week. Coming in at number 7 is going to be an anime called Fireforce. I watched this week's season 1 all the way through to season 2, episode 10. And as a shonen anime, I think it's fine. I don't think it's as good as Soul Eater, which it's supposed to be like a prequel sort of predecessor to in a way. But I think it's still really fun. I think Shinra is a really likable main character. And Tamaki, Iris, and everything, they're all really, really fun side characters that all get their own moment to shine, which is one of the things I've always appreciated about anime, that every character always gets a moment to shine, whether side character or main character or even villains. Like there are entire like 5 episodes in a row dedicated to the villains in my not My Hero, sorry, Black Clover. Granted, that show is very long, but Fire Force I think is just fine. My biggest issues come from the fact that it is a very repetitive show, because while you have like one episode break, it then jumps into the next arc with big battles over again and doesn't feel like it has enough downtime after the first half of season 1. But visually speaking, it's great. The soundtrack is incredible. The OPs are fantastic. And it has some of the best sound design I think I've seen in anything ever. If you want to watch Fire Force, by the way, I do recommend checking it out. It's available on Funimation and Crunchyroll, both in English dub and Japanese sub if you want to watch it. I personally watched it in the Japanese sub, but that's just because that's how I prefer to watch my anime. Next up is an anime as well called New Game. It came out in 2016 with another season releasing in 2019, and now I want another season because I watched season 1 and I'm halfway through season 2 now, and I'm absolutely in love with it. It's an anime about a girl who's 18, fresh out of school, and instead of going to college, goes to join a video game company as a character designer. And it's a show that is pure. It's an anime that shows the purity of development, whether you're in film, media, video game design, you name it, the hard work, the struggles, the issues you might come into during the process. And I think it's just really sweet. The characters are all really fun. I think the weakest character is honestly our main character, but that's nothing against her. Like, I think it's just a really pure show. And the end of season 1, when their game is released, it just shows how proud they are, especially some who have never had a game released, this is their first ever project and first ever property. And with that, it shows how passionate they are, and also sort of the struggles with legalities after a release as well, with spoilers, even a part of the development team, but still being a fan and wanting to buy your own game as well. And also the ups and downs of creating things and also competing with your co-workers for certain roles and everything. It's a really fun anime that's very sweet. It's nothing actiony or whatever. It's just a fun story with great characters. Coming in at number 5, I have Stranger Things Season 4, Episodes 1 and 2. I think the beginning of Stranger Things Season 4 so far has been absolutely incredible. I love everything that they're doing so far. The first episode, from the opening scene to the final scene, you are just in it. Granted, I don't like some of these characters. I really never liked Lucas, admittedly, and that's even more apparent with how pushy he's being to Max at the moment, even though he just needs to take a step back. I I think, though, from the ending of episode 1 as well, like, my jaw was sort of dropped, and I can't wait to see what goes forward. And episode 2 was the exact same. I don't think it's as strong as episode 1, in my opinion, but it's still got some fun reveals. There are so many Easter eggs in there regarding, like, horror media as well that I absolutely adore as a horror fan. But I'm really, really enjoying season 4 so far. My biggest issue, though, is that there are way too many subplots and way too many characters that it just sort of needs to get to the point, in my opinion. And it just needs to simmer down, and they need to stop introducing new characters because now it's just feeling a little bit crowded at times. Coming up at number 4, this is probably one that you've either never heard of or have heard of and asked me, why the hell did I watch that? And that is an anime called Domestic Nakanojo, also known as Domestic Girlfriend. It's a romance comedy, sort of slice of life anime, if you want to call it that, but the concept is incredibly weird. And by many, if you haven't watched it, could be like, why did you watch that? And it's a spicy one. It's the pinnacle of trash when it comes to watching anything. But it's also really well written and it has great characters and a really beautiful narrative, making a very complicated situation, such as the story of Domestic Nakanojo, all the more heartfelt and understandable. So the concept behind it, and if you want to check it out, it's available on Funimation. Domestic Nakanojo is an anime where the opening, the first scene and the first line of the anime in the first episode is "Moments ago I lost my virginity," talking from the main character. And it's revealed that his father is getting remarried, and he then meets the woman that his father is remarrying. And it turns out that the teacher he has an unrequited love for at his school, as well as the girl he just had sex with, are his new stepsisters. Very complicated situation that he couldn't help. Neither could they. And it's very, very messy and complicated. And there are so many, like, bite down on a lemon cringe moments. But the thing is, when the sort of, it's an icky thing to say, but love triangle between the three of them sort of forms, it's weird. It's extremely weird. And it's extremely, extremely trashy. But the thing is that the way the characters are written, as well as the narrative and how it goes along, makes the story incredibly pure in a very complicated situation they couldn't help or see coming, all the more heartfelt and all the more understandable, because they never got to choose this. And it's really hard to describe without saying spoilers, which I don't want to, because spoilers go into a little bit too much of a spicy territory at times. But by the end of it, you really do care about the characters, especially our main character, Natsuo, who, cares about everyone around him. He doesn't want to just sleep with anyone. He genuinely cares about everyone around him and wants to make sure they're okay and help them out however he can, no matter the situation. It's extremely weird, as I said, but it's a really good narrative just with trashy elements. Or you could see it the other way around. It's a good anime with very trashy moments. At number 3, I have an anime, again, called Akame ga Kill. Ren and I were briefly talking about Akame ga Kill and the issues it does have from the anime and manga and the loss of popularity with the manga and why the series was rushed in the end. But I still think it's really well done. I think Akame, Tatsumi, and all that are really good characters. I think the action and the animation is top-notch. And it's one of the few animes that truly makes me want to cry and be truly depressed by the end of it. And I just feel empty inside after rewatching it every time. But that's all I'm going to say about Akame ga Kill. You can actually watch it on High Dive. It's available in its singular one season. I highly recommend all of you go check it out. But in regards to the new stuff, at number 2, I have Obi-Wan Kenobi's episode 1 and 2, which is the main topic of this week. But that's my number 2 ranking, and I will not get into why I liked it so much now because it's a part of my ranking with my weekly ranking, but I'll talk about it in a moment. But just say I love what they're doing so far. I absolutely adore what they're doing, while I do have a few nitpicks here and there. But at number 1, because I started reading the manga, I started watching Kaguya-sama Lover's War, another anime. Yes, I watched a lot of anime this week, but what can I say? I've had nothing to do. But Kaguya-sama Lover's War is about the president of a high school as well as his vice president. They're students in their second year, and they both really like each other, but they don't want to admit it. One of them's more commoner, doesn't have as much money, lives a normal life, but studies extremely hard and really pushes himself to be at the top of his class 24/7, while the girl, Kaguya, she is of very high wealth and fame in regards to her city and Japan and everything, and she has a very high upper class. She doesn't live an ordinary life, doesn't get to go out with her friends, even though she never sees her father and doesn't have a real relationship with him. He controls her completely, and it's just very pure. But seeing the comedy that is thrown in as well, with them trying to basically do battles with each other to see who will confess their love and affection for each other first, is some of the most entertaining media I've seen in a while. There are so many laugh out loud moments between Kaguya and Shirogane that I just absolutely adore and can rewatch over and over again. Granted, going from manga to anime is frustrating because the anime is told non-chronologically to the manga. So while episode 1 of the anime is what it is, but really it's adapting chapters 1, 14, and 13 from the manga, which makes it very frustrating to read and watch at the same time. But I loved it so much that I caught up and started watching season 3, which is currently premiering, in a matter of like 24 hours. And that's a lot of anime. Well, not a lot of anime to get through. That's like 24 episodes total from season 1 to go into season 3, which they're currently doing. But, you know, I got so invested that I just didn't want to put it down from manga and anime. And I just love everything about it. It's very funny. It's not even just about the battles between our main characters, but it's also like other characters like Fujiwara, or forgive me for not remembering his name, but he's like a sort of shy shut-in nerd who's also a part of the student council. They all get their own separate moments in regards to their comedy, their battles with each other, and the insults thrown between them. You see how close they are. It's just a really fun anime. I highly recommend you check it out. It's on Funimation and Crunchyroll. But I guess now that I've done my weekly ranking, it should be time for me to jump in and talk about the main topic of this week, which is Obi-Wan Kenobi, which has just premiered on Disney+. Oh, wait, I've been told by Ren in the chat to wait. Just give me a second, guys. Oh, we should bring up the chat's weekly ranking, of course. So first of all, from Movie Fan, we have at number 1, Top Gun Maverick. I haven't had a chance to see it yet, but I plan on seeing it next week. I heard it's very, very good. At number 2, he has The Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent, which is another one I've yet to see, although I love my Nick Cage. I do need to go see it. At number 3, A Simple Favor rewatch. I love you. I love A Simple Favor. I think it's an incredibly underrated film. Number 4, Reminiscence, a movie that I really enjoyed that on release, but I didn't love it as much on rewatches all this time later, and it is quite forgettable, but I think it's still a fun movie. But yeah, no, you enjoyed everything you watched this week. That's good, man. I think it's really good when you have a week where you just watch movies and TV shows that you just love all week and you don't have a single bad watch. It's always the best feeling, I reckon. Next up, we have Tony Movie Chappie with, at number 4, he has Chip and Dale Rescue Rangers. At number 3, Stranger Things Season 4, Episodes 1 and 2. Okay. Episode 1, sorry. At number 2, Bob's Burgers movies. I probably won't be watching that as I've never seen Bob Burgers, so I don't have any interest myself. And then at number 1, obviously, Obi-Wan Kenobi. A great number 1 pick, in my opinion. Just an absolute great start. G. Colby P has, I didn't watch a lot, but at number 4, he has Obi-Wan Episodes 1 and 2. Wow, okay. Number 3, Barry Episode 5. Okay, I've never seen Barry, although I've been told by everyone I need to watch it. At number 2, Stranger Things Season 3. And at number 1, Top Gun Maverick. Everyone's saying they love Top Gun Maverick. I just need to go see it already, although I do need to watch Top Gun first. Eric Thorpe reviews. At number 1, Zack Snyder's Justice League. Great pick, in my opinion. At number 2, Pirates of the Caribbean, The Curse of the Black Pearl. Number 3, Who Framed Roger Rabbit? One I've also never seen, admittedly. Number 4, Moon Knight's Episode 5 and 6. Number 5, Stranger Things Season 4, Episode 1. At number 6, Obi-Wan Kenobi Episode 1 and 2. Wow. Number 7, Chip and Dale Rescue Rangers. I liked it just like the other things I watched more. Okay, fair enough. I haven't seen Rescue Rangers yet, although it is on my list to actually start watching very soon. Although I've heard a lot of people say some pretty positive things about it. I've read a lot of great things on Twitter about it in particular. Let's see. I have movie fan telling me to please watch Barry now. I will eventually. I will eventually. Don't worry. Don't worry. I just need to find the time to be able to do that. But either way, with that said, thank you all so much for your weekly ranking submissions. It's great to read them, but I guess we should now jump into our main topic, and that is Obi-Wan Kenobi. Oh, looks like we've got one more weekly ranking from Jack Alexander. At number 1, Kenobi episodes 1 to 2. At number 2, Hotel Rwanda. I don't think I've heard of that one personally. Number 3, Reality Bites. I don't even think I've heard of that one as well, mind you. I didn't watch much this week because I was really busy. That's understandable, man. On a good week, I only get to watch 1 or 2 things myself when I'm working because I have 2 jobs and then I try to do YouTube at the same time. It's just, you watch what you can, especially when you live a busy life, but that's all good, man. That's all good, man. But thank you all so much for your submissions for the weekly ranking. It's always great to read them all, but I guess we should jump into our main topic being Obi-Wan Kenobi. The first 2 episodes dropped on Disney Plus a little over 20, well, it's been way over 24 hours now, but personally, I loved everything they did with it, aside from a few things. I do have my nitpicks, but one thing I really love about the Kenobi series so far, and right off the bat, I've got to mention Ewan McGregor as Obi-Wan. It felt like he had never left the role. From scene 1 he was in with his introduction at the beginning of episode 1, you felt like he basically went from Revenge of the Sith to the Kenobi series straight away. It felt like he'd never left the role, and he still felt like Obi-Wan Kenobi. And I can say that for pretty much everyone in this show so far in regards to their performances. Even the young girl, really quickly, Ren, I know you're in my private chat right now. Am I allowed to dive into spoilers, or should I stay spoiler-free right now? Just to make sure. Because I don't want to dive into spoilers. Yes, feel free to talk spoilers. Okay, no worries. I just wanted to confirm that really quickly. So the young girl... Yeah, so before we jump into it, really quickly, spoilers, everyone. If you don't want spoilers for the Kenobi series, just be mindful. We are going to talk about spoilers throughout this entire segment, as it is our main topic of today's show. But fair warning, once again, spoilers inbound for Obi-Wan Kenobi. You've been warned. But the young girl who plays Leia, the 10-year-old Leia in this show, has had a lot of flack I've seen over the internet in regards to her apparently not being a very good actress, that she was very annoying, that she was just a really poor presence on screen. I've seen so many tweets and complaints and comments about her. I don't understand where people are coming from personally, because even though the dialogue she's provided at times isn't necessarily the best, I think she does a great job, and it actually sets up a lot of things now making more sense, especially in A New Hope, because she at first doesn't believe Obi-Wan's a Jedi, has no reason to trust him, which is completely fair. She's just been kidnapped, and now Obi-Wan has been told by Senator Organa, or more requested, to go save her on a distant planet, leaving Tatooine, leaving Luke and everything, even though he's only oversighting Luke to make sure he's okay and to watch over the boy. He has to leave to go look after Leia because she's just as important. And with that, you know, they both get into some trouble on the planet they're on, and obviously the Inquisitors, which we'll talk about in a moment, are after Obi-Wan and Leia. But I think Obi-Wan then proving himself after she starts the fall to her death, after trying to get away from him during a really fun rooftop shootout, in my opinion, him using the Force to save her, you can see how much of a struggle it is for him at first as well. But it's the fact as well that he knows that he needs to do this. And even though he wants to stay secluded, he doesn't want to show himself. He breaks that and uses it to save her, like he has to. And it shows Leia that he is, in fact, a Jedi. Therefore, that moment at the beginning of A New Hope where the sort of hologram from R2 and the message from her is played, where it's like, help me, Obi-Wan Kenobi, you're my only hope, makes more sense, because now we see where their bond began, when they first met and when he first saved her and looked after her. I think, you know, she's a very imperative character to Obi-Wan's journey in this series. I think it is very, very necessary, and I think she is doing a great job so far. Yes, I understand that the forest chase isn't the greatest. Admittedly, the chase where Padme, that's her mother, Leia, is kidnapped and chased down by like these sort of bandits or thugs, I should say, these bounty hunters. I don't even think they're bounty hunters, but they're like thugs in a way. When they kidnap her, she more or less goes through a chase where, everyone's been making the jokes and the memes about watch out for the branch and everything, and how it's very poorly directed or edited together and feels way too slow, and how these adult men couldn't catch up to a young girl. Like, if that's what you're focusing on in a 55-minute episode, I got to question what else you're paying attention to, because there's so many other great things within it. Because everyone does a great job. I need to particularly give a massive shout out to Moses Ingram. I do apologize if I pronounced her name wrong, but as Reva, the seventh sister, she is so good so far. Holy crap, she is amazing. And I love the fact that it seems like there's more beneath the surface as to why she wants to get Kenobi. She is purely an Inquisitor going after Kenobi for reasons that haven't necessarily been revealed yet. I love everything that they've done with Reva so far, and I'm intrigued to see what role and how big her role is going forward in episode 3 to episode 6. Her performance, her intensity, and also she is quite menacing in my opinion already. And easily, aside from Kenobi and Ewan McGregor in the role, Moses Ingram is my favorite actress playing Reva right now. She is my favorite character, new character as an Inquisitor in this show. She is incredible so far, and I couldn't give more praise to her performance already, and the character as well. Also, Joel Edgerton, completely forgot that he was Uncle Owen in Attack of the Clones and Revenge of the Sith, but seeing him back as Uncle Owen, really good. And, that insult where he says, train the boy like he trained his father, really hit me home. Like, he did not need to do Obi-Wan like that. Yeah, this moment right here between Uncle Owen and Reva, like, my heart was pounding. She's interrogating Owen, being like, do you know something of a Jedi around here and everything? And my heart was racing because Obi-Wan's literally feet away watching Owen as he's being interrogated by the seventh sister, Reva. And this moment right here that you see on the screen had my heart racing. But that all has to do with some great writing, great tension direction, as well as, Joel Edgerton and Moses Ingram in their respected roles as Owen and Reva. I think they're both fantastic, but I've got to give extreme praise to Moses Ingram right now. She is incredible in my opinion. I also think that Sung Kang as the fifth brother, although he hasn't had much screen time so far, I love seeing him in this role. Forgive me for not remembering the name of the actor, but the one who is playing, Sung Kang right here. He hasn't had much screen time, but whenever he's on the screen, although the voice he puts on might seem a little goofy, I think it works for the character. And oh man, I'm loving everything they're doing with the Inquisitors right now. I'm not even going to lie. I think that the Grand Inquisitor, I don't remember the actor playing him right now. Please forgive me. Okay, I've just been informed by Ren that it's Rupert Friend. Rupert Friend is playing the Grand Inquisitor, sorry. Really good as well. Really good. I've seen a lot of complaints regarding the design of the Grand Inquisitor to live action, but if you look at the design and the animation style of Rebels and the task they had to bring him to live action, I think he looks fantastic. I think he's also a very menacing presence, although I was not expecting Reva to sort of stab him in the gut with a lightsaber while she is sort of stalking around looking for Obi-Wan Kenobi in the loading bay at the end of episode 2. Was not expecting him to get stabbed in the gut, although I don't think he's dead. I really doubt it. I really doubt he's dead. But I want to see more of him because I think he's got a lot more with his role, but I don't think he's going to be the main Inquisitor in the forefront. I think having a new Inquisitor like Reva in the forefront is a very wise decision, and I love her character, and I love Rupert Friend in the role as well. Also, I've got to mention him, Benny Safdie. No idea that he was in the show until episode 1, where he appeared as an unnamed Jedi, and I don't remember the Jedi's name right now, but with his small role, it was great. And the interaction where he's going and looking for Kenobi and asking for help because he knows that Kenobi was a Jedi, or still is in a way, he's just in hiding. Benny Safdie as this unnamed Jedi going to Kenobi, that moment with them when he's asking for help and Obi-Wan's like, you want my advice, go into the middle of the desert or whatever and bury that thing, like his lightsaber, bury it. To then have Obi-Wan in the, in the town again, and then seeing Benny Safdie as this unnamed Jedi sort of strung up and dead, because he's, I think he's dead at least. He was seemingly captured by the Inquisitors. Like, it's a testament to the acting of McGregor as well, where you see the reaction and sort of the guilt on him, which I loved. And that moment as well at the end of episode 2, where it's revealed from Reva that Anakin Skywalker is still alive, that Darth Vader is Anakin Skywalker, that he's still alive. That look on Ewan McGregor's face says it all. Like, sometimes actions speak louder than words. And this was a prime example of that, in my opinion. I've got to mention as well, the composer from the composition from Natalie Holt, I believe it is. I don't think it's John Williams this time. Just looking on the IMDb page right here, it looks like it's Natalie Holt as the composer. The score's fantastic. I think it's really, really beautiful, and I want the soundtrack now. I think the locations and the pacing is all there. I think it's very strong, and I love the narrative they're setting up. And as Ren pointed out to me earlier, there are only 2 shots in the trailers that are not in episode 1 and 2. Everything else we saw in the trailers for Kenobi are in episode 1 and 2. So we're completely in the dark, essentially, for episodes 3 through 6. Now, there are speculations we can go into, obviously, regarding this. And I'm intrigued to see where they go, because I've heard rumors of them doing flashbacks towards the, the Clone Wars, where it shows the relationship between Anakin and Obi-Wan in the Clone Wars in live action form, which I would admittedly love to see. And I don't, this shot right here of the buttons on, just to sidetrack really quick, on Vader's suit was not in the first 2 episodes, but this was in the trailer. This is one of the few shots from the trailers that were not in episode 1 and 2, but everything else we see in the trailers doesn't show anything from episodes 3 to 6. But although I'd love to see everything for the Clone Wars, I don't necessarily think it's necessary, but I'd love to see it, especially when Hayden Christensen is returning as Anakin Skywalker. I would love to see it, but I don't necessarily think it's necessary, although I'm not entirely against it, mind you. And it would make sense, especially because I highly doubt they brought back Christensen purely to just be in the Vader suit. I highly doubt that. I don't think that they... that shot of Vader right there was not in the first 2 episodes. Although we did see Vader at the end of episode 2 in his sort of sleep deprivation tank, I'm going to call it. That was a really cool way to end episode 2. And now it just makes me want to watch episode 3 and everything. Like, I couldn't be more excited for the following episodes. And it's been a long time since a Star Wars or Marvel or Disney show in general has made me like, I want the next episode. The last show that did that with them was WandaVision. I haven't been loving these Disney Plus shows, but Kenobi already, I am absolutely adoring. From the score to the performances to the writing. Yes, people complain and everything, but I don't see the reason as to why they're complaining. I think everyone from Joel Edgerton to Ewan McGregor, obviously, Rupert Friend, Sung Kang, and Moses Ingram in particular, are doing a fantastic job in their respected roles. And Deborah Chow as well. Like, major props to her. Major props. That's one person I never mentioned as well. Kamal Nanjiani. His character, while not very big, I loved his role. Like, McGregor introducing himself to him in a way, but he's like, you're a fraud, because he's sort of, he's sort of a criminal. He's taking money from people to help them out, quote unquote, while making them think he's a Jedi that can, read locations or minds through the Force and everything to help them out. But he's just using magnets in his glove to close doors as a little party trick to make people think, oh, he's a Jedi, when in reality he's not. Reva immediately sees through this act just like Obi-Wan did. But Kamal Nanjiani, I love this poster, by the way. I love all the posters that have just been released for Obi-Wan Kenobi. But this Kamal Nanjiani one is really, really cool, in my opinion. I love the little Vader with the, the twin suns standing there where his eyes should be. I think it's a really cool poster design. I actually want Kenobi's poster, the one with Ewan McGregor on it. But Commander Nanjiani, funny, likable, although the character's sort of an ass. I think he's a really cool character, and I want to see him more in the following episodes, although unfortunately I don't think we are going to get much more of him. But you know, I think it was just a fun presence to have Kamal Nanjiani on screen. And his character, while not in it for long, was a very entertaining and very welcome presence, in my opinion. And he did good. He did good. I think the interactions between him and Kenobi were really fun, especially when Kenobi snatches the magnet out of his glove because it was just a party trick. I think it's really, really, really fun. I'm just trying to think about what else there is to talk about regarding the Kenobi series so far, because we've touched on Vader's reveal at the end. We've touched on Reva and how good Moses Ingram's performance is. We've touched on Ewan McGregor. I guess when I get into my small, minor issues with the show, a lot of it has to do with the fact of, like, there was that chase scene in the forest, admittedly. There was the chase scene in the forest regarding Leia and the thugs, which looked incredibly cheap. It felt a little bit tacky. But when you have a young girl and everything running away from adult men and trying to make the scene feel very lively, it's a more complicated job than we as the viewers like to let on. It's a very complicated thing, having a young girl running away from adults and make it seem like a fast, visceral, and sort of intense moment, because obviously the young girl's going to be running slower. They've got the terrain that they need to watch over. They need to have them trip over the branch and everything to sort of create that opening for her to keep running, to let the scene run its course. Otherwise, it will feel too short and unnecessary and a little bit too easy for the thugs. But so far for Obi-Wan, I am really, really enjoying it. A lot of people have had a lot of complaints, and obviously there are the people out there with Moses Ingram in particular that are blaming her for calling Star Wars fans racist. You guys are the people who have been saying all this crap in regards to, like, the MCU stuff, or the you know, why is Moses Ingram one of the main characters as Reva, the seventh sister? Like, I don't understand the point behind playing victim now. Like, I think it is so amazing that we've got Moses Ingram in here. But no, I'm personally absolutely loving the show so far. But yeah, Ren, really quickly, I will ask you, is there anything else in particular you'd like me to mention or talk about? Because I'm sort of having a blank here. And is there anything you'd like me to touch on in particular? In regards to theories, okay, so for theories, we know that there is going to be a fight between Obi-Wan and Vader. Obviously, I have the very strong feeling that the next episode is going to be the last that we probably see of Leia. This moment that we see here between Obi-Wan and Leia throughout episode 2 is probably the extent we're going to get between their relationship here. I don't think she's going to be in it much more, and I think Obi-Wan is going to return her to, you know, Senator Organa and everything, and then he's going to go back to Tatooine to look over Luke. But because Moses Ingram as Reva, sorry, I should just say the seventh sister Reva, rather than saying Moses Ingram each time. But when it comes to her, she now knows that Obi-Wan is still alive and that she was right the entire time to suspect. I feel like, one, there are going to be repercussions to her because she stabbed the Grand Inquisitor in the stomach with her lightsaber. I do think that Obi-Wan in either episode 3 or 4 is actually going to be kidnapped and taken by the Inquisitors. And I think they are going to take him alive, obviously, and have him confront Vader, where we are going to get our big introduction to Darth Vader in this series. I feel like there is going to be a big talk between the two of them, Obi-Wan and Darth Vader, before a massive fight breaks out either on the Death Star or on an Imperial Star Destroyer. I feel as well that we might actually get Obi-Wan now having the news, and I think this is very, very unlikely, mind you. I don't think that this is going to happen, but what I would love to see in regards to theorizing is Obi-Wan return to Mustafar. I would love to see him return to Mustafar to sort of look at the moments where he was and Anakin was the last time that they really saw each other 10 years ago. And I think that would be a very important moment for the character of Obi-Wan, and we might even get a duel between them on Mustafar with Darth Vader in the suit and Obi-Wan. Don't know if that's going to happen. I think it's incredibly unlikely. But I think one thing that has been kept secret that we will see is a talk, maybe on Dagobah, between Obi-Wan and Yoda. Because Obi-Wan has just found out that his old apprentice, his best friend, is still alive after he had left him for dead, essentially, after he turned to the dark side, cutting off his legs and his arm and leaving him. He was on fire last time we saw him, and now he knows that he is alive. I feel like he'll be wanting guidance from Yoda in regards to what to do. Should he pursue it? Should he go see Vader? Or should he stay in seclusion once again? I feel like maybe Luke might get threatened or Uncle Ben might get threatened. But I think we're going to get, in the next episode in particular, the episode will probably start with interactions between Leia and Obi-Wan, with him then returning Leia back to Senator Organa, to her home. And then I have a very strong feeling that, what's his name? Obi-Wan will go back to Tatooine and will probably have a duel with the Inquisitors before he is then taken and he meets Vader. Because to me, it would make sense to have him and Vader meet again at the end of episode 3 at the halfway mark of the show. I think that would make sense to them have their first duel throughout episode 4, and then episode 6, the final episode, will be when they have their final duel before the ending of the series. But I also feel that we could very well, with him, say, going to Mustafar, or one way with him reminiscing over the times, or in a dream sequence, because one other thing that we see in the first 2 episodes is that Obi-Wan seems to have a bit of PTSD from the events of his battle with Anakin and letting him down and cutting him up, and his old Padawan turning to the dark side. I have a feeling we might also get some dream sequences or some flashbacks to them in the Clone Wars, because they have been rumored, and I would love to see him and Hayden Christensen as Anakin, not Darth Vader, but Anakin and Obi-Wan during the Clone Wars, once again fighting side by side for an episode or a due period of time for like 5-10 minutes. I think that would be really awesome to see, and I think it is likely that we will get those flashbacks, mainly for the reason that I don't think they'd bring Hayden back purely because we could get him in the suit. I don't think that's likely. I think he has a bigger role than what we've been led to believe. And obviously, we can't have that stuff shown, but I think it would be very interesting to see that. But yeah, that's basically all I have in regards to theories, because I'm not the type of person... Someone's trying to call me. I'm not the type of person who likes to theorize about shows personally, because I like to just see it as it comes. Because otherwise, I'm setting myself up to unreasonable expectations. But it's always fun to theorize. But I just remember WandaVision, and I don't want to make that mistake ever again. But I guess because of that, we can jump right into the live questions in a way. Ren's just currently grabbing me the questions as well from the community tab on his channel. All right, first of all, we have Movie Fan. To me, I think Obi-Wan Kenobi lived up to the hype. What episode do you think we will see the confrontation between Obi-Wan and Vader? Well, as I said, I think that the ending of episode 3 would make most sense for them to interact for the first time, and for them to have that confrontation 10 years later, and maybe the beginning of episode 4 to have a battle. Because we know the battle between Obi-Wan and Vader is coming, and I can't wait to see that. But I think it would make most sense for the midpoint of the show to have their first confrontation and then to have a second one a little later on. But yeah, that's just what I think. But yeah, I completely agree. I think that the show so far, it has lived up to the hype. From Lady Erin, Patrick, what is your ideal summer vacation, and what are some places that you love to go to for a summer vacation? My ideal summer vacation would be a trip to Hawaii, where I just get to sit there, have a nice beer or a nice, drink and everything, just sitting there on the beach in some board shorts by the waves and just relaxing. But unfortunately, I've never been overseas. And what do I normally do for some... What are some places you like to go to for a summer vacation? I don't go anywhere for summer vacations, because our summer is in December through February, because I live in Australia. But with that, I've never really been anywhere aside from the Gold Coast, actually, which is literally 45 minutes from my house. It's local, and I normally go to the Gold Coast to go to the beach at Surfers Paradise. I normally go to the theme parks like Warner Brothers Movie World, like SeaWorld and all that sort of stuff, or Dream World, to go on the rides, to go to the attractions. But that's mainly all I do for summer vacation. Oh, and to go to the water parks because, you know, you can't really go to those in winter. From Tony Movie Chappie, what are some things in Star Wars that you feel Kathleen Kennedy and Lucasfilm can improve in the future with their film and TV shows? Or do you feel that they are heading in the right direction? I think for now, especially with the announcements yesterday with the new shows and everything, that they're heading in the right direction now. My biggest issue with these shows have been the fact that they don't know how to step away from the Skywalker saga or the characters that we already know. They're stuck being a little bit too familiar with what we already know. So for that, I want new stories. And I think many other Star Wars fans are like that. But if you watch Star Wars celebrations, announcements yesterday, I believe there was a show called Skeleton Crew, featuring Jude Law and done by John Watts, the director of the Spider-Man Home trilogy. They're doing some new stuff, and that's meant to take place, I believe, like 100 years or something beforehand or whatever, regarding the current events of like the prequels. I don't exactly remember, but it is not involving any of the characters we already know. Same thing with Acolyte. I think they're heading in the right direction. Granted, my biggest issue with Book of Boba Fett was the fact that the main character was not the main character throughout a large portion of the series, and it was very much a Mando 2.5 at times. And I think those are things that it could definitely improve upon. But even when we have familiar characters turning up, stories like Kenobi so far are what I love Star Wars for. And I love the darker tone. Surprisingly enough, the Andor trailer surprised the living shit out of me, because even though I don't like Rogue One, and I'm not a massive fan of the Andor character because I hated his development, by that I mean what development, I think the Andor show actually could improve that for me regarding the development of the character of Andor. And wait, hang on. I need to fact check something. Yeah, Cassian Andor. Sorry, I want to make sure I had his name right. How wouldn't I? But I think they're in the right direction, and the Andor trailer actually really surprised me as a prequel to Rogue One, and I love the Empire for some reason just has a more menacing feel in this show, and I love the vibe that they're going for. It's a much darker tone once again, like Rogue One was. But unfortunately, I just wish Rogue One delivered on it more. But I think Kathleen and Lucasfilm are going in the right direction for now. So another one from Lady Aaron. So this week we unexpectedly lost Ray Leota. What are some of your series or video game that you would like to see get made that not many people have discussed? Sorry, let me read that again. Oh my god, I started reading another comment simultaneously. So this week we unexpectedly lost Ray Leota. What are some of your favorite performances from this legend? Rest in peace to Ray, and may his work be forever remembered. I didn't admittedly make a tweet about Ray Liotta because although I'm sad for his loss, I looked at his filmography, and the only films I've seen of his, and this is in full admittance, Goodfellas, Field of Dreams, Hannibal, and B Movie. I didn't even know he was in the B Movie, and it's been a long time since I've seen Goodfellas, admittedly, so I can't really say. Same thing with Field of Dreams and Hannibal. So in all honesty, it's such a sad loss, and my condolences are with him and his family. And I just unfortunately don't really have any big memories with Ray Liotta, or some of my favorite performances of his, unfortunately. But it has made me want to go check out a lot of his filmography again. Because of that, like this coming week, I actually have a rewatch scheduled for Goodfellas and Hannibal in particular. So, yeah. From Movie Fan, what is a Star Wars movie, series, or video game that you would like to see get made that not many people have discussed? Oh, that's a toughie. A video game that I'd like to get made for Star Wars is honestly a complete from the ground up remake of Rogue Squadron, or a complete ground up remake of Star Wars Episode 1 Pod Racer. I love Star Wars Episode 1 Racer. I have so many fond memories playing that on my N64. And then I also have a lot of fond memories playing that on my PS4 and PS5, getting my Platinums, because it's a fun game to play as a racing game. It also brings the pod racing aspect of Star Wars to life in a video game format that I think is very, very effective. Excuse me, I need coffee. And same thing as Rogue Squadron. I refuse to believe that Star Wars Squadrons is a remake of Rogue Squadron, because it is not. But I would love to see a Rogue Squadron remake. In regards to the stories, though, I don't think we have enough stories on Sith. And although there are games out there like that, in particular, the first leading into the second of Star Wars Force Unleashed, I think we need a more prime focused Star Wars game that focuses not on the light side like we have with Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order or the upcoming Jedi Survivor, which looks fantastic, by the way. But I want a Star Wars story that, in a video game format, that is told from the perspective of a Sith Lord, maybe even Darth Vader himself. Because I can just imagine the ferocity in the much darker tone of a Sith Lord Prime focused Star Wars game like Force Unleashed was, in comparison to a lot of other Star Wars games. As for other Star Wars games I'd like to see, there really aren't many, because I don't have any ideas that I would have in regards to Star Wars, because in regards to Star Wars, it's a lot of like original characters like Cal Kestis, and Starkiller and everything. But that's just my opinion. But for me, a lot of the older Star Wars games are the ones I would personally like to be remade. For another one from Eric Thorpe. Hey, Patrick, what is your hype level for Indiana Jones 5? I think it honestly might be amazing with a director like James Mangold, and you can never go wrong casting Mads Mikkelsen, especially if he's a villain, hopefully in this. I think he is a villain in this one. I think that would make most sense for him. But as for my excitement level, I need to see more than just a photo of him on a bridge, because, in my opinion, Indiana Jones ended with Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, and before Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, it ended with Last Crusade. I feel like it's just going on too long, and I even thought that Harrison Ford for this particular role was getting a little old when it came to Indiana Jones 4. And with that said, doesn't mean I don't like him in the role. I loved him in the role in Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, even though I'm not a massive fan of that movie. But I just don't know what story they have, and I'd need to see something on it, such as a trailer, not just an image, to really boost my excitement. Obviously, I'm excited because of James Mangold being at the helm, and I am so thankful for such a talented director being in charge of this. But I need to see something first. So my hype level is sort of just right in the middle right now. Another one for Lady Erin. Patrick, what are some video game moments and memories that made you really enjoy playing video games? Oh, God, where do I start? Anything in the Resident Evil franchise, aside from Resident Evil 5 and 6, especially the battle between Salazar in Resident Evil 4 between Leon, or the big cheese where he shoots a barrel and he's like, hasta luego. Silent Hill 2 as a game in its entirety is one of the only video games that make me piss my pants every single time. That constant atmosphere and dread you feel playing that game. I'm into a lot of my older like horror games. Outlast, though, was like a very important game to me when I was younger. The sheer dread and terror I experienced playing that game as a kid, even in class. Even Outlast 2, as a not so great game, the horror aspect behind it is beyond terrifying. And there are so many anxiety inducing moments, but yeah. My apologies, anyway. Yeah, no, I really enjoy playing. My favorite video game memories, though. If I had to go for a memory playing a video game, even though I think it would have to be one specific moment in The Last of Us Part 2. And in The Last of Us Part 2, that would be the conversation between Joel and Ellie on the balcony towards the end of the game. And it's the reason why I actually have Ellie's tattoo from The Last of Us, because I myself don't have a very good relationship with my father. We have a very bad relationship. And the moment where Ellie is like, I'm not going to forgive you, I just won't, but I will try to move on, meant everything to me. Like, that struck the core inside of my heart, where it's like, that's right, I don't need to forgive someone, but I can try to move on, especially for the benefit of those around me, such as my younger sisters. And, you know, the scene in the music store in Last of Us Part 2 as well, where Ellie is singing to Dina while playing the guitar, was very, very sweet and pure. And I can just say The Last of Us Part 2 as a game as a whole, like, there were so many moments to choose from. But I guess a video game moment, though, for me would have to be a moment I shared with someone else. And that's when we did have a good relationship when I was really young. And that's my dad when we were playing Dungeons and Dragons, like the Neverwinter Night games or Baldur's Gate. Granted, I was like 4 or 5 at the time, but those are the only real fond memories I have with my father, admittedly. From Lady Erin, a two-parter. Who is a celebrity that has died that you would want to hang out with for a day if they were alive, and what would you do for that day? 2, who is a celebrity that is still alive would you like to hang out with? Okay. One that died that I'd like to hang out with, and what would I do? I'd have to go with Robin Williams. With Robin Williams, like it's either him or Chester Bennington. Both of them were so important to me when I was younger through either Chester's music or in regards to Robin Williams, his fun, lighthearted humor and can-do attitude. I absolutely love Robin Williams in particular because any moment that I felt down, especially through my parents' divorce, I'd pop on like Flubber or Jumanji or Aladdin, and Robin Williams every time would just lift my spirits. And I'd honestly ask him to go to like a comedy show or go to a musical together so we could just laugh, have a good time, go out for a meal or brunch or something. And as for an actor that's still alive that I want to hang out with for the day and what we would do, Tobin Bell. I'd take Tobin Bell to horror mazes, like a Saw maze or something. Like Tobin Bell's an idol of mine as the Jigsaw killer in the movies, obviously. But like I've idolized him since I was like 6 years old. I'd take him to like horror mazes. I'd ask him, hey, can we watch like a Saw movie together? Like, please. Like I just nerd out with him. I'd nerd out with him, and he just seems like such a chill guy. What is currently your favorite movie moment of 2022 and least favorite movie moment of 2022, and why? Favorite movie moment of 2022 so far? God. I'd have to honestly say Dewey versus Ghostface in Scream. Although it ended very abruptly and depressingly, that moment especially was like Scream 1 through 4 and what Dewey has gone through and him finally standing up and learning and being like, I've got to get him in the head or something and like, got to double tap in a way. Very, very cool moment seeing him throw down with Ghostface like that and actually taking up the mantle to do something like that. And as for my least favorite movie moment of 2022, I don't really have one. I have only really watched movies this year that I want to see. I've only like the amount of screenings and screeners I've turned down because I just don't want to see these movies is sort of silly in a certain degree, but I just don't have the time. And I've only seen movies that I've either enjoyed or really loved so far. And, I'm sure if I saw Firestarter, which I was excited for, but I still haven't seen, there would probably be a moment on that considering what a lot of people have told me. But so far, not really a movie moment. That's my least favorite so far. As a fan of anime, I wanted to ask, what are some underrated anime movies that you think I should check out? Underrated anime movies. Ooh. I want to really cool I could say Red Turtle because that was a very misunderstood anime for the reason that there's no dialogue. There was one, I think it was called Princess Kaguya. Yeah, The Tale of Princess Kaguya. The Tale of Princess Kaguya is another really good one that I think is vastly underrated. Although it has like 100% of Rotten Tomatoes, it didn't get the viewership or anything that it deserved. The thing is, I don't really watch a lot of anime movies aside from... Oh, Ren just brought up a very good one. The Boy and the Beast is fantastic. It's been years since I've watched it, but now, thanks, Ren. I'm going to go check that out after this, actually. I'm going to go find my Blu-ray and give it a rewatch. That is a great anime film that I highly recommend all of you check out. There's one that I actually saw the other week called... what was it called again? It was an anime movie... Pogo and the Cinephile, I think it was called. Pogo-san the Cinemaphile. Oh god, it's already left my local theater after 2 weeks. What? I need to find out what movie this is. Pompo the Cinephile. Yeah, Pompo the Cinephile. It's only just been released in, Western European countries. And it's very good. It's not long. It's one that not a lot of people really knew about. And I guess that's why I got removed from theaters in less than 2 weeks here, considering that Jujutsu Kaisen and, Demon Slayer. Like, Demon Slayer was in Australian theaters for almost 3 months. And then, the Jujutsu Kaisen movie has its last week in the cinemas this week. And it's been about 2 months now since that came out. So that's unfortunate. But I just watch a lot of anime shows more than anything else, as opposed to movies, but that's just what I personally prefer. I prefer anime shows over movies, but I prefer live action movies over shows. That's just how I work. From Lady Aaron, what in your opinion are some of the most overrated video games and some of the most underrated video games, and why? Oh, underrated video games. I play too many video games. This is hard. Underrated. The Little Nightmares games. Little Nightmares 1 and 2 are two of the scariest games I've ever played in my life. And it's like a very small platformer indie horror game, but they're just so much fun. The amount of times I've played both of them over and over again is ridiculous. The Binding of Isaac is another really underrated one. Overrated. Literally anything Call of Duty related that is not Black Ops 2 or Modern Warfare 2 and 3. I'm just being honest. There's only 3 Call of Duty games I really like. Another overrated game. Oh, underrated. Battlefront 2, the remake. When it first came out, it was a bit of a mess, but recently it's actually been revamped and updated to the point that it's actually kind of fantastic now. It's a great game. Silent Hill 3, I think, is very, very underrated. Resident Evil 7 and 8. Oh my God, those are overrated. I'm a massive Resident Evil fan, but Resident Evil 7 and 8 just did not do it for me at all. I thought Resident Evil 7 felt more like a Silent Hill game with only one direct tie-in in a document that you could completely miss regarding the tie-in to Resident Evil's world. Oh, and the reveal of the new Umbrella Corporation at the end. And then Resident Evil 8 was just too linear and didn't have the puzzle aspect behind it and had no horror vibe. It was just an action game, essentially. And then I mentioned Ethan Winters is a terrible character. From Ethan Thorpe, is it just me or do the Marvel Disney Plus shows feel more cinematic overall than the live action Star Wars Disney Plus shows? In my opinion, WandaVision was the most cinematic Disney Plus show throughout, which is ironic since it's one literally emulating television half the time. I don't think that's a fair comparison to make, considering the world of Star Wars and MCU are very different. And I think that, us looking from the outside as purely the viewers is an unfair thing to say regarding they feel like TV shows in comparison, whereas the MCU feels like movies. I personally don't feel like the MCU shows feel like movies, for one. I felt Hawkeye and Moon Knight in particular felt incredibly cheap. But that's just from me as an outsider and someone who really enjoyed Hawkeye but did not like Moon Knight. But I think that Mandalorian feels incredibly cinematic, and so far Obi-Wan feels very cinematic as well. I just think it's depending on the show and who's at the helm of certain episodes. And when it comes to the MCU shows, they usually, I believe, have one director. They usually have one director throughout the entire series, whereas the Star Wars shows, except for Obi-Wan, it seems, has multiple directors at the helm having their own style when it comes to directing and bringing the vision to life. So that might be a big part of it, but I don't know. For me personally, no, I think they all feel cinematic in their own right. Lady Aaron, how would you personally rank the Star Wars shows? Let me look up what Star Wars shows there actually are, because I don't remember all of them. Star Wars TV shows. I will not be including the Star Wars Vintage Ewok show. Okay, so I can't say Resistance or Forces of Destiny because I've never seen them. So at the very bottom, I would probably have The Bad Batch. Next up, Book of Boba Fett. Then Visions. Then Rebels. then Mando, then Clone Wars. I won't include Kenobi yet because we haven't got all of it. I won't include it yet. Thoughts on Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1 trailer? I think it looks great. I just think it's really silly of them to release a trailer so early, considering the movie doesn't come out till July next year. We've still got 14 months. Like, why? It's a teaser trailer, I understand that, but I don't know. I think it looks really fun, though. That motorcycle off the cliff stunt looks nuts. Same with the train stuff. Oh, my God. And I'm just going to say it right now. Damn it, I've... Whoopsies, my browser crashed. Oh, that's embarrassing. But as I was saying, I don't remember her name really quickly. Just give me a moment. When it comes to Rebecca Ferguson, that's her name. I think she looks really good in the show, especially when it comes to, I mean, the movie, when it comes to her with the eye patch in particular. Like, whoo, yes, please. Apologies for that, though, guys. The browser crashed, so I had to, open up a new tab again. But yeah, no, I think Dead Reckoning Part 1 looks good. I think it looks very good. I just am confused as to why they released a trailer so soon, in my opinion. But that's okay. The trailers used to be released way earlier than that sometimes before, Corona started. Like some movies had trailers out for a year and a half at times. And then you got stuff like New Mutants, which got delayed over and over again with the trailer being released like 2 years before the actual movie came out in the end. Ren, have we got any more questions as well? What are some movies that you would consider to be your guilty pleasure movies? Oh, you have no idea. I've got a lot. But in particular, my biggest guilty pleasure movie of all time is Sharknado. All 6 Sharknado movies I can watch over and over again and never be bored. Never be bored. They are so funny, in my opinion, and so entertaining because they're so campy and dumb and bad, and they know it. At times, they're not great, but they're not bad either. But I would say that the Resident Evil animated movies are a bit of guilty pleasures for me. They're still fine. They're not great, but they're entertaining as hell. Dominican Scott, have you seen the teaser trailer to the new Star Wars Survivor sequel to Fallen Order, which was a fun game? Yes, I have, and I think it looks really good so far. I can't wait to see the expansion of this story with Cal Kestis in Star Wars Jedi Survivor. I am so excited. Although it is a weird thing trying to say Star Wars Jedi Survivor rather than Fallen Order. Like that's going to take some getting used to. But for the teaser trailer we got, I think it looks great so far. And I'm very happy I finally got my PS5 to be able to play that when it comes out because it's going to be a next-gen console exclusive, apparently. From Lady Aaron, what are your favorite performances in each Star Wars trilogies? So my favorite performance in the original, in the prequel trilogy, Ewan McGregor as Obi-Wan. The sequel trilogy would have to be, I would have to say Harrison Ford as Han Solo. And then the sequel trilogy, obviously, Adam Driver as Kylo Ren. I think Kylo Ren is the best part, and Adam Driver, for that matter, are the best parts of the sequel trilogy as a whole. Horizon Zero Dawn and several other video game projects have been confirmed for Netflix. What are your thoughts? I don't really have any thoughts for the reason that I'm someone who actually hasn't played the Horizon games, the Horizon Zero Dawn or Horizon Forbidden West. Never played them, so I can't say anything, actually. I've been meaning to play them for a while, but I've just never gotten around to it. As for, say, the God of War show coming out, yes, very, very excited. What are some movies, TV shows that have the best CGI, and what are some movies, TV shows that have the worst CGI? Oh, God. Interstellar and Inception come to mind when it comes to great CGI. TV shows, though, no, that doesn't count. I can't really think of anything off the top of my head for good, but I can think of bad. Sharknado, Ultraviolet, the Resident Evil movies. I can bring up as well. The Silent Hill movie in particular has some pretty dated VFX and CGI. God, I'm just trying to think. You know what had some really bad CGI at times, actually? The 2018 Predator film from Shane Black. Some of the blood effects and everything in that were truly horrendous. Speaking of Barry, Patrick, you will fall in love with this show. Trust me, it's that good. Also, are there any other shows at the moment that people are telling you to watch but haven't gotten around to it, like Barry? No, not really. Regarding shows, a lot of it is just animes. Like my anime catalog is so big, and there's shows. So, in regards to shows, it's just easily 150 plus animes that I've just been bugged by my friends to watch that I'm trying to catch up on, like rapidly. But there is so much on my catalog; it's not even funny. Lady Aaron, will we see you live stream another video game on your channel soon? And if so, which video games would you like to live stream on your channel? I want to live stream the Dead Space games before the new one comes out, the remake of the original in 2023, because that comes out in October. But I am planning on doing a playthrough of Chapter 1 and 2 in the next week or two of Poppy Playtime, which has been a very popular survival horror game on the internet recently. I want to finish up Blair Witch. I definitely want to stream some more Evil Within, because I'm trying to go for my platinum for that right now. It's just when I can find the time, more or less, because some of these games take forever to do. Do you think we will get any Fantastic Beasts 4? I really enjoyed it. A big improvement from the last two, but I'm getting really hesitant if it will get another film announcement. Look, I don't think we're going to get it. And this is something I actually discussed with Zach and Ren a couple weeks ago on the show when we discussed, about Fantastic Beasts 3, The Secrets of Dumbledore, and whether or not it will get another film. I don't think so. It's not earning a big enough box office, therefore it isn't earning enough profit to be able to warrant itself another film. I just don't. Honestly, I really don't. Can you show the t-shirt you're wearing with the standing and move the microphone? Thanks. Oh, yes. You want to see my overly big Deku shirt? There we go. See? There we go. You guys wanted to see the shirt for Deku? Gotta love me some My Hero Academia. I've got that many Demon Slayer, My Hero Academia, and Death Note shirts. It's not even funny. What are some movies that you like or love that a lot of people hate? Welcome to Raccoon City is one of them, of course. I love that film. A lot of the Saw sequels, like Saw 6 and Spiral, a lot of people didn't like. I really loved. A lot of them have to go into the horror territory, though. That's a really hard question to ask and answer, for the reason that I don't know what other people think, and the general consensus is a subjective opinion. So it's not even a matter of me really knowing what other people think, because I don't like to get, mixed up and like have other people's opinions influence mine. And I don't know what the vast majority is. Like, I don't check scores on IMDb or Rotten Tomatoes or, audience scores anymore these days. I don't really care about that stuff. I just want to enjoy the movie and want to see people supporting the industry and enjoying it themselves. Insidious Chapter 3 was one that a lot of people apparently didn't like that I really enjoyed, actually. The Curse of La Llorona. I really enjoy The Curse of La Llorona, but a lot of people do not, and I don't know why. I don't know why. I think it's fun. Do you think Liam Neeson will make a cameo in Obi-Wan? That's a good question, actually. Will Qui-Gon turn up in Obi-Wan? No. Although we had Obi-Wan in the first episode, I believe, asking, Qui-Gon for help, like if there's any time to help him, it's now. I highly doubt that Liam Neeson's going to return as Qui-Gon, and I highly doubt that Qui-Gon's going to turn up. I would love to see it, don't get me wrong. I would love to see a Force Ghost of Qui-Gon, but I don't think it's going to happen, personally. It has been confirmed a teaser trailer for Black Adam will premiere on June 8th. Any thoughts? Intrigued. More or less intrigued. I know that someone is very excited. Ren, I know that you're excited because Pierce Brosnan's character. I know that you're very, very excited, aren't you? And I'm now looking it up because I don't remember that character's name. Oh, no. Ren's going to give me a talking to later. I know it because I don't remember his favorite character's name. Dr. Fate. There we go. Please don't hurt me, Ren. Yeah, he just sent me a message himself. I'm sorry, Ren. I'm intrigued. I want to see what they've come up with, and I love the director. And I know that Dwayne's been wanting to make this movie for a long time, and it's been worked on for a long time. So I don't really have any thoughts yet. I am excited to see the trailer though and to see what they have to bring. And who knows? Although my height level's very leveled right now, like Thor Love and Thunder, it could rise depending on this trailer because I think the Thor Love and Thunder trailer was very good. I really hope Black Adam's trailer is as good as I want it to be as well because I really want that movie and I really want it to be good, but I just don't know enough about it yet, unfortunately. Do I enjoy Shaun of the Dead? I recently watched it for the first time and is now one of my favorite movies of all time. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I love Shaun of the Dead. It was the movie that made me discover Edgar Wright. And ever since I've watched Shaun of the Dead and then watched Hot Fuzz and then The World's End and then Scott Pilgrim and so on, Edgar Wright has been my favorite director of all time. And Ren knows this because he knows how jealous I was that he got to meet Edgar Wright a few years ago. And, you know, I just couldn't love Shaun of the Dead any more than I do. I think the directing style and the editing from Wright and his team is fantastic, as well as the chemistry and the camaraderie between Nick Frost and Simon Pegg are absolutely incredible. And that adds towards the comedic beats and the tone and the fun of Shaun of the Dead. And as a zombie movie, as a spoof film of that matter, like it's a dark comedy spoof film in its own way, and I think it works really well. And I don't think anyone else could have pulled it off aside from from Edgar Wright and his team. Like I don't think anyone else aside them could have pulled it off. But yeah, either way, I believe that was our last question, guys. So, you know, between everything with Obi-Wan and what's to come though as our main topic this week, I'm intrigued and I couldn't be happier. I think the hype was worth it, and I think it did live up to that hype. I do think the wait was worth it as well. And we've been waiting since Kathleen Kennedy asked Ewan McGregor at Star Wars Celebration, 3 years ago, will you come back as Obi-Wan Kenobi? And he said yes. We've been waiting so long, and I'm so happy it's here, and it has lived up to the hype so far. But guys, I want to thank you all so much for joining in. That was our last question after all, as Ren has informed me. So that will unfortunately be the end of this show. I want to thank Ren so much once again for inviting me to be the host of the show this week. I want to thank him and everyone else for having me. It really does mean a lot, and I hope you guys enjoyed nonetheless. And again, it means a lot to me that Ren asked me to fill in for him. My appreciation is just so high for him right now, and you know, it does mean a lot. But guys, thank you so much for joining us this week on This Week in Geek. What do you think about Obi-Wan? Please let us know whether you're listening to this live or if you're listening to this on Spotify afterwards with the show, whether you're commuting or going to the gym or cooking up a nice meal, as I said earlier. If you want to check out my channel, all you have to do is go on YouTube and look up Patrick Burrow. Burrow spelled with one R, B-U-R-O-W. I do movie reactions over there to horror movies and all sorts of horror genre, really. I have my sister's reaction to Halloween Kills coming out on Sunday at 1 p.m. EST, as well as the week after. I have a reaction to the Banana Splits movie, and following that for the month of June, I have my sister's reaction to Hereditary, as well as my reaction to 13 Ghosts and Jeepers Creepers 2, all coming throughout the month of June. So if you guys want to check those out, as I said, you can find my channel here on YouTube at Patrick Burrow. But guys, thank you so much for joining once again. It really does mean the world. Thank you, Ren, for inviting me on to be the host. And thank you all so much who are watching this live or those who are listening afterwards on Spotify. And I hope you all have a very good day. See you all next time.